How are you guys?
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Ashish.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining in. I am Ashish Verma. I am the founder of FewerClicks Labs, a Web3 product development company. I am a Web3 entrepreneur with 13 years of extensive experience in product development in DeFi and blockchain consumer space. I have a very interesting panel with me here. I have Sachin and Anil with me. I will give you a little bit background about each of them, but let's have a discussion around today's topic. We are doing an exclusive live event for the most trending topic of the Web3 space, real world asset tokenization. So we have Sachin Kumar, the founder of Jumbo Blockchain. He has over 19 years of experience in innovation and digital transformation across various industries. He is a certified blockchain essential program professional and an ISB MBA graduate. His company leverages blockchain technology to create solutions that focuses on social impact and sustainability. Sachin has extensive experience in thought leadership, financial management, customer orientation, and team engagement. He has successfully led a core team cross technologies for delivering strategic solutions, particularly in supply chain management. Notably, he has applied for 3 patents for blockchain verticals and has contributed significantly in the industry. So uh, we are very delighted to have you, Sachin, with us today. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Ashish. It is very extensive, the introduction. Basically, I have not expected that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sachin. Now, our second panelist, uh, Anil. So, he's a founder and CTO of Real World Tokens Limited. He has an extensive 30 years of experience in IT product development. He has worked with top organizations like GT Nexus, Stanford University, Aris Global, Decathlon, Cyber, and Bearing Point. Anil has shown his entrepreneurial uh, side by co-founding 3 companies, and one of which is still running successfully. His specialization is in SaaS-based products for enterprises, and he has worked with clients like Caterpillar, Pfizer, Decathlon, Kmart, and Stanford University. He has strong ability to work with diverse team worldwide and is helping to develop important products for Fortune 100 companies. So it's impressive, Anil. Anil is currently working in tokenizing the real world asset with his current company, and we would be delighted to gain more experience about the technology and the implementation in the blockchain vertical. So we are really honored to have you, Anil, with us. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to contribute my knowledge so that we extend the field of asset tokenization. It's going to be $1 trillion industry.
Yes, yes, and there
Yeah.
are a lot of newcomers in the Web3 and blockchain space that has joined us in the live event, and we would like them to keep questioning us and
Yeah.
ask whatever they have doubts. We have a extreme experienced panel with us, so let's start, guys. Okay, so
Sure.
with your expertise, my first question is directly to you, Anil. Uh,
Yeah.
could you explain the tokenization of real world assets in brief to our audience? What are their main benefits and challenges in using or associating this approach?
Okay. So to start off, how did we hit upon this idea of tokenization? People would have heard of ERC 20, ERC 1155, ERC 721. ERC 721 is the NFT, non-fungible token, and the fungible token. So basically, these are all things. We had utility tokens. We had a lot of other tokens, which basically didn't tie up to any assets. So it was like the value of these tokens is based on its usage, the value of this token was based on its, where it has been used and how much transactions was happening. So based on that, the value of the token used to be decided. So we thought like, we were doing some projects on IP, intellectual property, especially biotech and medical devices, intellectual property. And then we realized like that was a very huge industry, $1 trillion industry. The clinical trials industry itself is 100 billion per annum the world over. So we thought like all this, lot of this, and if you look at biotech and medical devices, these are all things which are very essential for the advancement of humankind, right? So we thought like, how about like, contributing our small might to enable this impressive individuals to, make their fundraising much easier. So that is when we thought like we will try to tokenize their data. Data is their IP basically. So then we knew that the FDA, US FDA, and CDs, there are organizations. They have already standardized the data format in clinical trials. So it's known as they came out with something known as a bridge domain model. So we had expertise on that. One of our previous company where we sold off the code to some other company, we had done similar stuff where we had created a data model and ETL mechanism and all those stuff to CROs for the benefit of CROs, a company in Nevada. So we thought like we should actually tokenize this data and make it available so that companies can showcase this, protect this IP. At the same time, they can submit themselves to due diligence and valuation, basically to value their the data is their valuation. So that is when we hit upon this idea of real world tokenization. So we started working on that. We I think one of my co-founder, he's not well. Sachin had a meeting with him. So he's IIT alumni. So along with him, we developed a product. It's still not yet released. We are doing some work on Hedera, and basically this IP helps. This IP data helps the company in getting a proper valuation. Like clinical trials go through different layers, like first level trials, second level, third level, and then ultimately it's a long process. It's 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. So the amount of money these companies who are successful need is humongous. So each time they complete a trial, like their valuation also increases. So we wanted to address that, and as I told you, it's a very huge industry. So that is when we thought like we will initially build a due diligence and valuation platform for the benefit of those who have IP, who depend on their intellectual property for raising funds, private equity funds, and all those stuff. So that is when we hit upon that. Then we had also worked on asset securitization for some other client, US client. Asset securitization is basically a $200 billion market annually in the US. So it comes in, you have ABS, asset-backed securities, then you have MBS, mortgage-backed securities, and then you have collateral-based securities. So we had some domain expertise on that previously. So we thought like, we can extend the tokenization, build a common platform so that, issuers can use a common platform, whether they are in biotech or whether they are in any other industry, they can use it to, tokenize and provide clarity, visibility to the investors. So that is the whole idea where we wanted to tokenize. And now, like BlackRock has already tokenized their deposits and their holdings, and it is being used as collateral. So we have touched upon an industry which is going to be very huge, potentially worth billions of dollars. So we really want to do something there. So that's how we started off.
Great. Sachin, do you want
No, that's something really, really great, Anil, you guys are doing. And I just want to add on to Anil's thought. The real world asset tokenization, it can be in any form, either it's a digital asset or a physical asset. You
Yeah.
know, the maximum participation can happen, and the revenue sharing can happen if they are tokenized. Look at this. Very simple example. If I'm building a site or a commercial building, which is like total, if I do the mathematical calculation, the total sellable floor size is say worth like 500 crores, or say $50 million or $60 million worth, right? Now
Right.
Anil wants to invest in that, to be the part of that as part of the project, not as an end buyer, but he has a limited capacity, right? The limited capacity does not allow him to participate in that process and make profit.
Correct.
Only the tokenization is the process where Anil can invest, can buy the tokenized, whatever is the money he
Right.
has, he can buy equivalent tokens, and then it
Yeah.
can keep. So that possibility only the tokenization is giving it.
Correct. Because of the retail investors and they don't have the huge capacity to buy in, RWA
Yes,
is key to
right. Right now you need.
diversify the wealth.
Yeah, you right now you need to buy the property, but
Yes.
in that way you do not need to buy the property.
Correct.
You are the participating in the construction and the selling process, basically.
Great insight. So let's move on to our next question to Sachin. With your experience, what are the technical consideration that needs to be involved while tokenizing an asset, specifically in the field of pharma, where biotech, medical devices, and green energy?
Oh, so okay. So I think some of the part Anil has already covered it. That they build a platform for that. But from my perspective, if that the technical perspective comes in, see, the value is not available with the blockchain or any centralized or decentralized exchange right now for when
Yeah.
it comes to the valuation of that any physical asset
Correct.
or any digital asset, basically. So that has to be come from the outside world. Outside world means the valuation of that property. So like if it is a property, then the valuation has to be done in two ways. One is the circle rate, basically, and second the valuation which usually bank do, or the banker, investment bankers do.
Correct.
So that is the valuation which has to be there, and it has to be available publicly, so that the data can be cross verified and can bring to the blockchain. That is one of the basic fundamental. The second fundamental is every property has to be a standard process, or any product, either it's IP or it's any digital or a clinical trial or a research. Any IP has to have the standards in place, and how the token model is going to take place. That is the second most important aspect when it comes to the valuation and the standards for that. Now let's come to the technically. Technically, there are like you need to write a smart contract, and there are like multiple standard which are already given out there. Anil has already explained it. 721, 33551, then ERC20 conversion. That is the standard basically. But for every step, there is a smart contract which has to be written there.
Right.
So again, a smart contract has to be written there. Now look at this. Today's incident, right? What happened with WazirX today?
No, please incite
You
us.
do not have any idea?
No.
The asset of almost $239 million from a
Yeah. Has been
multi-sig
gone.
wallet has been hacked by the hackers.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Now,
Lazarus Group has been suspected, I guess.
yeah. So look at this. Now your asset is directly connected with that smart contract or the different wallets. You need to make sure the while writing that smart contract, it has to have that strong capability to automate the transaction. See, if it is in the wallet, then there is a possibility to do that. But when it is will be a automatic transaction by the smart contract, where you need to have the more and more security. then it can create very different value basically. So that is the one of the primary factor which has to be
Added
considered.
security layers on top of the smart contract and
No, there is already an Sachin. There is already an Ethereum standard account abstraction.
Yeah, you know
Account
that
abstraction can be implemented. A lot of wallet safe and all have implemented, but
today's
I
incident
really need
happened
to
on
look at this
no,
hack
I mean it
because
happened on Ethereum today.
yeah, I know a safe wallet. So we need to look at that how it has.
See, it's not safe. That's what I'm saying. The safety comes from your smart contract. See,
Yeah,
any standard written by Ethereum is written by the people only. There is no one who is coming from the space and writing, right? It is done by people like you and me, right?
yeah,
So there can be flaws. So we need to make sure those flaws are not there.
yeah,
That is one of the very important aspects which we need to understand.
yeah.
Security. Then the auditability not only from one perspective, but from the multiple perspectives. One of the perspective for that is that the valuation of asset that is auditable and publicly available and has to flow through the smart contract to give the fractionalization properly and data should go to the cloud.
right.
Then your contract has to be upgradable. Sometime you change the value of fractions or change the number of fractions basically. Then your smart contract should have that capability that it should have it should be like upgradable smart contract and has to be available publicly based on the publicly data available. So that is one more aspect, and the third is it is the entire source of information has to be verified by the third party. So this is from the technical perspective. Now the blockchain comes into the play because you are going to write the smart contract on the blockchain. So it has to have the blockchain should have the security on its wallet and other which we recently discussed. Now, one of the most important point when it comes to the technical perspective, today you deployed your wallet or your smart contract or your fraction on one chain, but if you want to move from one chain to another chain, how it is going to happen?
It is not that frictional.
It is right now. It is not a simple affair. It is a very costly affair, basically.
Correct.
So that has to be taken care. So it has to be like interoperable. See, look, if today I did the fractionalization on any EVM compatible blockchain, but want to move to Solana or some other one, then it can be a problem. And then integration between EVM compatible and non-EVM compatible has to be there.
That are the typical challenges that you will always face until a good solution comes into the market and take care of it.
Right. Look at this. Now, one more point. If I am using any Web2 system, and then there is a value flowing out from there through the smart contract, then that integration has to be very smooth also.
Right.
Because here you are not considering only the Web3 structure, but it is involved the Web2 structure, because as an organization or as an individual, I do not want to change my existing infrastructure, but yes, I can plug in something which is coming from the known standard system or new standard systems basically.
Correct. The traditional systems that are already available are not so transparent, but blockchain capability of transparency can be hinged or pitched in directly, and the smooth transaction will really help to adapt new set of users that are there, or the institutions or organizations that are really looking for these solutions but are unable to adapt to it.
Yes. Now it should again the liquidity, which is much more important. So it should be tradable, and it should have a transparent price system and price discovery mechanism inbuilt in the smart contract through the third-party sources which are available on the different platforms, either it's government or the non-government department.
Right.
So these are the points which has to be considered while write a technical details of a real-world asset tokenization.
Great. Great answer to the question, Sachin. Uh, Anil, on the point of transparency and trust, how do you see the blockchain helping in bringing trust and transparency in the tokenization process and solving the complex industries and since these industries or organizations are across borders, how do you see it its implementation?
Okay, so let me chance upon the use case that we are implementing on Hedera. So basically, what we are doing there is we are focusing on SPVs. SPVs are on the US. It is based truly on US laws. So
Mm-hmm.
SPVs are created physically, and our SPVs mimic the physical. SPVs are special purpose vehicles, so they are created by legal firms, attorneys, and all, and they will have contracts and all those stuff in place. So we basically associate the assets with the SPVs. In our case, the IPs is associated, and the data is associated with the SPV, and the SPVs issue the token. So there, what we have done is there has been a lot of security and transparency requirements that has to be put in place. One is transparency perspective, like investors needed a particular decentralized app which has to be whitelisted, so that only select set of persons can interact and view the data, and if they want to do a settlement, like one investor wants to sell his tokens to another person, though it is private equity, we wanted to give liquidity. That is why we are using stable coins. We are not having our own token. So we are using Circle USDC as a means of marking up to the asset units. We call them, each of them, as an asset unit. It is marked up to USDC. So each is valued at 1 USDC, and investors can get their liquidity by onboarding another investor and selling it with them. So everything happens in private through a application that is beyond a firewall. It is put beside a firewall. All the IPs and all are whitelisted, so they can. That is one way of ensuring that there is some amount of security and transparency. So that is one thing which we have done. Then there is some sort of though we have not fully gone and implemented, because we don't have the skill set on account abstraction. We are trying to do something similar, like we are trying to make sure that the data is abstracted out. The data is in our own local file system, where data is not available to anybody. Only the hashes are available on the smart contract. So those are all things that we have taken care of to ensure that so we also want to get this all the smart contracts and the entire system PCI compliant, audited by a PCI 7 agency, which will come back and say where we have security holes and which has to be plugged. So those are things which we are taking into consideration.
But being this a private environment, how
No,
it
it's
will
not
bring
private.
the
It is
trust
not
or
private.
the
It
trust?
is ecosystem is towards the issuer. So obviously issuer will want, because it is his IP, right? He wants his IP to
Right.
be private, all his data to be IP. So it should be known only to his ecosystem. So that is
Correct.
basically, it is a private VPC. When you look at it,
Okay.
it's a private VPC. So private in the
Okay.
sense, it is not Hyperledger. We are not using Hyperledger Fabric or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We are using a public blockchain, but there we have abstracted out the data. So the hashes are there. So public blockchain mainly because we want to all this these people to have, the issuers to have a wider audience across the different blockchains. So you can actually touch base on different communities and sell their tokens, promote their tokens. So that is the whole objective.
Okay. Thank you for explaining it in detail about the transparency of how the tokenization will happen.
Yeah.
Sachin, I would really want to get into the regulatory challenges of asset tokenization, because we are cross borders. Every country has a different
Yeah.
law, and some countries like India has a very typical laws in blockchain domain. So how do you see we can tackle those and have a better platform to assure the compliance and facilitation of transactions?
Right now, it is a gray area. It's not
Yes,
all across the globe. In some country, there are certain laws are available. In some countries, there is no law. Like in India, there is no law.
yes,
Yeah.
So recently, SEBI has allowed uh, not blockchain digitalization, tokenization, but for the land and the building, they have allowed it recently. How,
yes.
what regulations they have written out, I'm not sure.
No, it's very opaque. It's the data is not out, and we are that domain is very unknown to general public.
Exactly. So that is one of the very important aspects. So that is called this is called the security law basically. Okay. So
Yes,
like SEBI is in India, SEC is in US, I
Yeah.
think ESMA is in Europe. So these are the laws of land basically, you can say. So that is
Yeah.
one of the very important aspect that anytime whenever you do the compliance, you have to consider the entire world because you are not limiting to the one country now. You are
correct.
doing that tokenization which can be available for anybody. And the digital asset trade is a global, not local.
Yeah,
Correct.
here
So
Switzerland has. I have not really, because I don't come from a legal background, but I have been hearing that
I'm not
Switzerland
also
has
I
lot
don't
of
also
nice
come
laws.
from I don't also come from legal background, but I
Yeah,
read this because of certain we'll talk about it in the
yeah, yeah,
last. Okay, so these are the regulations which you need to work on. Then the biggest again it's a digital asset, and the bigger threat for any country as of now is the money laundering
yeah.
and the
AML.
who is buying it.
Yeah,
These are the
Correct.
things which we need to make sure for any platform who is doing the digital asset or any blockchain. They need to consider that data in that information in play and put a very strong, the rules and regulations around it.
yeah,
Yes, the
Now,
general notion in the public is currently that decentralized is linked with blockchain. So
yeah. So
they
now you are
think
you are
every money laundering system that is associated around decentralization will be linked to blockchain, and it becomes grayer and
the
grayer
problem
area.
is that only problem is that I'm coming to that problem. If you do the KYC, then there are GDPR regulations also.
yeah.
Yes,
You need to follow that. there are GDPR in Europe, and there are other country having their own
Which is
one
different. Yeah,
GDPR. Yeah,
yes.
so you need to follow that also. That is the
A
again
global platform is not
now it becomes
available.
more complicated because
Correct.
you are going to put the KYC, but you cannot put the KYC on the
one
because
KYC is not applicable to the other KYC. KYC in
Correct.
US, UK is not applicable to Europe. So you need to do different. Yeah,
yes, you need to follow all these procedures.
yeah.
Now, as Anil was talking about the biotech and the medical tech, basically medical data and other thing, I think Anil, there is a law in US, right, around it for that kind of data.
Sunshine Act, I think. Yeah, Sunshine Act, and then there is uh,
No, 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 it is related to some health. I think health
HIPAA.
insurance.
CDSC
HIPAA.
is the authority.
Yeah,
Yeah,
HIPAA.
HIPAA is under CDSC only. So we are addressing the format in CDS format only, which is like one of the stakeholder of CDSC is
Exactly.
FDA.
So I'm coming to that point. Now
Yeah,
that compliance is there in US, but what is the
yeah.
compliance in India?
Same. We follow the same stuff.
But
FDA has got this.
what about Europe? What about the clinical
Yeah, Europe
trial?
is different. Europe is
Yeah.
tougher.
What about
Europe
the
is tougher.
clinical trial patient and the information about those patients? How
Personal
to have
data.
that?
Yeah,
Yes. So there are so many things to work. There are challenges, but these will be shot out over a period of time.
yeah. The challenges was there before when they built the software, right? They built the software on databases. With blockchain, things become easier. If you look at it,
Yeah.
immutability and security becomes better, right? It becomes slightly better. So that's one
That's
thing which
that
you can.
that we cannot say. We have seen example today, so I cannot put a question. There is a question mark on each and everything now. Today, after today's incident, okay. Now the most important part which comes into the play when it comes to the law of land. So any property or any fraction you buy or whatever, even today, if in the physical world asset, so there is a tax thing basically on the top of that. So suppose, okay, let me give an example of, say, bought a flat like 10 years back, and I bought it at a particular price. If I'm
Correct.
selling it today, then I'm selling it there is a difference, which is called the capital gain, and then there are certain other calculations.
Certain laws in India and certain laws in Dubai and certain in US.
Exactly. So how you are going to collect that? How you are
Correct.
going to do the tax? Or to which country? If your asset is in India,
Yes.
and the token has been purchased by the somebody who is say British citizen. Now
There are problems. Yeah.
he has to pay tax in India on that
Correct.
asset.
And there are multi-passport systems.
Yes.
There are visa systems where based on a visa, I bought a flat in, let's say, Dubai, and now I am residing in India. Which tax should I pay? And how the money will go?
Yeah.
So
not only tax for a foreigner buying property in India, there is a problem of ownership also, right? Legal ownership, whether its token in itself is valid or not. So all those questions come into perspective.
Yes. So for that document, see again, our all lands are not in the digital record. So
yeah.
So we do the deal on the stamp paper, submitted to the relevant authorities.
Yeah.
That is one of the problem basically. But when it comes to the revenue generation, how the state government and the central government is going to generate revenue out of this? What will be the tax procedure? How to go pay the stamp duty and other things when it is tokenized? So these are the so many questions around it which has to be. It will be done over a period of time, but right now these are the one of the big challenges which are there basically.
Yes. Right. Agreed. So, Sachin, how do you see the future of these asset tokenization? Where are we heading? How this scalability or interoperability will shape the whole ecosystem?
See, I can tell you one simple straight story here. Irrespective of these challenges which we have spoken about it, this market is going to grow. This market is giving opportunity for the masses to participate in a growing economy. Yeah. So right now that the opportunity with the people who has low income or has limited money, that opportunity is not there right now with them. Right. See, if I buy a property, then I have to rent it out or something like that. Or so for real estate, even there is an opportunity. But for other like the patent applied in software industry, patent applied for any process, IP applied for medical science, innovation in medical science, new drugs, clinical trials. If as an individual today I want to participate in that process, I cannot do that. Only way is the tokenization. So asset tokenization is going to have a very big market in future. That is my understanding. That is my personal understanding, and my research say it is going to grow with a super fast speed. It might be possible that CAGR can go more than 100% or I don't know.
There is huge possibilities with these trends.
Right, and the again interoperability you have spoken, but over a period of time it is also getting more and more smooth. We are working on in that direction to build a virtual machine which can be automatically interoperable. We are working in that direction, and then it will give you the cross-chain transaction possibilities easy. And this will allow the seamless integration with the third-party like Web2 systems. And then it will become a bigger ecosystem, but it will take some time.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think in another 5 years, the entire world will have the clarity about the rules and regulations around this, because they also see it as a growing sector and making more possible to participate in the economical growth of the country. Economical growth of the country is one of the factors when your people grow financially. So your people grow financially means they have more purchasing power. More purchasing power create more demand. More demand will be created, then again it has to be fulfilled. So then
Correct.
you have to manufacture more, or you have to
Correct.
produce more, basically. So
Yes.
these are the things which over a period of time it is going to take, and everybody has to put the rules and regulations because the potential is out there. The
Yes.
potential is out there for the asset which were just unutilized, kind of, basically.
Right.
Right. So like IP, if as an organization I applied 3 IPs, if I want to monetize, I have to find someone to sell it off.
Correct.
But we find it out the alternative way for that. We'll talk about. So these are the things basically which we need to which is going to be like in the future. And um, again, in the future, if the more and more tokenization is going to have, it will open the doors to have more liquidity, because the normal person will also be participating in the process.
In the growing economy, countries like India, which is developing at a very fast rate and requires a huge amount of foreign investments, or the investments typically will have to cater on these new technologies, so that they have the retailers' money pitched in and they contribute to the growth of economy and eventually benefits
Let
from
me
it.
give a simple. Let me give a simple example, and you will understand. See, in India, we are the country of 1.4 billion people, right?
Right.
Almost 800 million people, or maybe say, or let do more discounting. Say 50 million, 500 million people have the capability to invest $800.
Okay.
Then how much you are adding to the Indian economy itself?
Correct. Correct.
You are
It's
adding
huge.
$50 billion automatically as a liquidity in the Indian market.
Correct.
And I'm averaging out. $100, I am averaging out.
Yes, yes, yes. You are averaging out, and you are keeping it a very minimal rate of users. So
Exactly.
the
Not
huge,
minimum. We can discount it more.
yes,
But there are two factors: how to reach those people and how to educate them. This is going
educate
to,
those people
we
is
need to think
education
from that
is really
perspective.
important here.
Yeah, so we need to think from that perspective also, that how to do that.
Right,
Then it will be, if we are able to teach people and give like better accessibility to them, then it is going to be a good market over a period of time.
right. So heading to the security part of these transactions, Anil, can you help me elaborate the measures that need to be taken in terms of high value or high volume transactions that are needed to tokenize these assets, and how blockchain will help here to solve these challenges?
Yeah, basically, see, one of the problems with security is like Sachin was saying about today's incident, right? When a transfer happened, the wallets gets hacked. So there we can look at ways where we can try to minimize the intrusions into the system. So one of them is like using software and hardware mechanism. That in our case we are using IP whitelisting, and we have a settlement D app which is exclusively the preserve of certain people, so who are going to be bona fide participants of that settlement. So that is one way. Then the other way is like basically trying to implement, many places we have done escrow smart contracts, multi-sig escrow with multi-sig smart contracts. So those are things which we have done. So that is one of the other reason why we went for stable coins is basically we wanted to reduce the number of high value transactions. Like we wanted to make sure the reconciliation happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
So reconciliation amount is lesser, even though it will increases our gas fees. We try to minimize the risk on the system, like in case somebody so we wanted to minimize it. That is one way. So the other way is data abstraction. We for a long time now, we have been looking at data abstraction. We don't expose data in the smart contract. We just have a hash. A hash points to a file. The file versioning is all maintained in a separate software, so which is not available to the public as such. So
Okay.
that's how we maintain. And then TLS, transport layer security systems in place, like
Multiple and
we have deployed it on Kubernetes. Like a lot of backend pods are all in a private VPN. Only a publicly available is on 441. So HTTPS. So that is how we try to implement security using software. It's all there. The security system are all always there. Like it is not something which has become
which needs to be innovated for these.
architected and designed and put into place. So to minimize it, you can't say it is foolproof, but we try to minimize the risk involved. Yeah.
Thank you for the insight, Anil. This was really, really good. Sachin, do you have any case study that you have tokenized the asset? We know Anil has done couple of in his companies, but I do want to know if you have done something on Jumbo blockchain and what is your learning experience there? You are on mute.
So I thought to discuss this in the last. I thought to discuss about it in the last. But look at the use case for us. We applied 3 IPs.
Mm-hmm.
We applied patents in India and PCT worldwide in the blockchain technology. You know what is happening right now? We have changed the entire concept of the native token of the blockchain. Right now, Jumbo blockchain native token is the fraction of real world digital asset, which is IPs for Jumbo blockchain. And that is the one of the big use case I can think of. Means look at this. The native token of the blockchain itself is a fraction of the real world asset. And we applied that in last year, and when people were just starting about the RWAs.
RWAs, yes.
Like 1 year back, like last year, we implemented the entire code, and in a very different way. So it has all the standard security features, fractionalization and smart contract. Everything is there, and that is one of the best example and the best use case I can give. How it create value? It create value in 2 ways now.
Mm-hmm.
If this token is and again, this token is going to utilize, the fraction is going to utilize to pay the gas fees, staking, and the other aspect in the blockchain itself. The same fraction.
It's so simplified.
Now look at this. How it is creating value. If it is utilizing in the process of the blockchain, then there will be a demand created.
Right.
That's one thing. Second value which is coming in back from your financial document, which you publish every year publicly. In your financial document, any IP is defined as an intangible asset.
Right.
An intangible asset has a value associated with it.
Right.
And that value grows according to your revenue growth.
So easy monetization, and all the investors, the retailers or the big ones, will have the transparency of the system and gain values directly.
Yeah, so it is coming from the 2 ways now. From the demand because of the utility, and from the balance sheet, which is the external document and audited by the external parties based on the revenue generated by blockchain for their use cases or blockchain itself.
That's great.
Okay. Now, what is the value it is going to create? There will be no dump and pump game.
Correct, because everything is transparent.
If somebody will dump it, then the price will go down only for a particular period. As soon as the new valuation of intangible asset will come, it will be processed to the blockchain, and the value of the fractions will be adjusted.
Okay.
Right. right? Okay, like right now, if I I dump BTC right now. Say BlackRock dump BTC. The number of BTC they have, they dump it.
Okay.
What is going to happen in the market with BTC?
Yeah,
Until
it
and
is a chaos.
unless a new demand will not generate in a
And
year or 2 years,
there is no new demand that will be
it cannot
generated,
go.
because once the institution dumps a huge amount of tokens everywhere, every retailer follow, and there is FUD.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, what is happening with us? If it dumps today, say in July, then our balance sheet will come within a year, or we
Correct.
will be publishing the quarterly balance sheet also, audited.
Okay.
We can get this done quarterly audited also.
Right.
According
You
to
can.
revenue and tangible asset value can go up. I just need to get this audited and get the evaluation calculated, right? Process it to the blockchain. So
This
it
will
will
give
be
a real value to the assets, and the biggest question that revolves around Web3 is how the value of any token is generated. What is the
exactly
relevant value, and how you have it?
that is the relevant value for the native token of the blockchain.
Great, great. This is really insightful, Sachin. Really love the use case. Uh, Anil, you were talking about integrations for the private players or investors that you are working with. So, considering the asset tokenization, how are you trying to integrate these solutions that are already there in Web2 with Web3 technologies, and what are the strategies and operations that you take?
Okay, so when we talk about Web 2, like basically we have to do a migration path. Basically, Web 2 is completely, totally different stuff. So, what we do is we first of all, businesses, they need to look at like what elements of their business process can be tokenized into an asset of value. So that is the one thing which they need to do a SWOT analysis, obviously. So they need to do a SWOT analysis. They need to do identify those items, and then take those items. For example, I've seen many companies, large companies, right? They are trying to tokenize their software and hardware assets. Like they spent a lot of money on IT, right, over the years. So they want, but there is also a depreciation part. They
Yes.
also hardware depreciates, technology gets obsolete so quickly. The software also depreciates, right? You end up having orphan software which doesn't have anybody
Yes.
to look after that. So those are all technical depths, right? So you have to look at the technical depths and identify, do a SWOT analysis, and then tokenize that. Similarly, like for example, IP. That is why I always why we took IP was because I think IP is one thing which companies find it much easier to tokenize. That is one thing. Second one
Right.
is like basically you have you want to provide collateral and obviously raise funds for a project. Say for example,
Yes.
somebody is building a solar farm, so they will it's easy for them because they can. But those are things like the for companies to tokenize, they really need to spend a lot of work, do a normal analysis, and then decide which one they want to tokenize.
Right.
So
Right.
that aspect they cannot leave it off.
Correct. And IP is the simplest thing because it has an intrinsic value to it, and
It
they
might
are
have
yeah.
it is it might have if it fails, it doesn't have any value. So
Yes.
basically for investors, they get to fail faster. So if it clicks, very well, it has worked, and it has got a lot of valuation. So that way, the transparency is there.
Great. Thank you. Sachin, on the closing thoughts, what are how the people around can innovate with Jumbo blockchain? How are you seeing RWA tokenization as a base of innovation in bringing value within the blockchain ecosystem? And how investors can leverage it within Jumbo blockchain?
So see, one thing I have already explained, right? Our innovation, we have already tokenized those as a native
Yes.
token of the blockchain. So Jumbo blockchain is like we have done it in a very different way, and making more and more secure and the robust platform basically over a period of time. So let me
Mm-hmm.
not talk about Jumbo blockchain here. Let me talk about the possibility, future, how to leverage, where to leverage, and what is the opportunity for the investors basically. Investing in a real world asset gives security to their money basically. Growth is one part, but security is much more important.
Right.
See, asset cannot be zero at any point of time, right?
Right.
Cannot be zero. It can go down a little bit, but it will come again as a demand. It might be possible that if there is an asset which I have tokenized, but I'm not able to sell it to the market, the another person can sell it in a better
Right.
rate.
You are not in
So
the relevant domain. You don't have the target audience or the reach. That is all.
whatever is that. So there are possibility for the investors basically. Jumbo blockchain, because its native token itself is a real world asset tokenized, fractional basically. So it is a good platform to do the tokenization on the top of that.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we look at the from the Jumbo blockchain perspective. Now let's talk about the future. Future is going to be bigger. Look at only the real estate all across the globe, which is growing, upgrading, or the government do a lot more projects. Those can also be tokenized, where the value can be tokenized and distributed, make it tradable, and the people can say, see, sometimes it is just saying that I have some ownership, and like I have 4 shares of IBM today. I
Right.
worked with 5 years back, 4 shares. I'm still holding, and I'm getting dividend every year for
Wonderful.
that.
Yes.
Exactly. In the same way, right? So we see a bigger future when it comes to the all RWAs, not only the physical but the digital at the same time. So look at the market size, which is a new market addition to the which was not there earlier. This is a new
Mm.
market addition which is going to happen over a period of time, and that is going to create the tremendous value out there. So this is how we look at the future. This is how we look at the future from the jumbo chain perspective. When people are aware about the native token itself, a real world asset fraction, so automatically it will create more value to
More
jumbo
value
chain
to the
and the trust as well.
right. And Anil, apart from the clinical trials and the IPs, what more domain that you are looking into? How are you going to cater those domains and how it will benefit to the public or the private investors?
Okay, so one of the products which we are looking at, on Jumbo Chain is basically we want to extend this asset securitization stuff to include a lot of other types of tokenization items, like for example LC, letter of credits. So letter of credits is one thing, and then there is the remittance deposit tokenization. So you have remittances coming in cross-border. India is a major beneficiary of remittances. We get almost $150 billion worth of remittances every year from all over the world. And Bangladesh is our neighboring country of Bangladesh and Nepal also. Bangladesh gets something like 70 billion, and Nepal also gets a substantial amount of 40 to 50 billion, which is like basically huge amount of money for these economies. So we want to work with Jumbo on this, because these are all in our neighborhood, South Asia. So we want to look at that deposit tokenization basically. We have a large expatriate population around the world. Large
Correct.
number of people are there. So diaspora is very huge. So for not only for India, Bangladesh, Nepal, diaspora is Sri Lanka, diaspora is very huge. So we are basically looking at it. That is itself is a huge industry. So that is the use case we are looking at.
Great, great. So this brings to a end of our session. In conclusion, I would like to end this panel. Thank you so much to both of you for joining in and take out the precious time. We are really enlightened with the conversation, and I am sure it helped the viewers who have joined in. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Anil. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Maybe if you have any queries, questions, you can put it there in the comment section. I will love to answer all the questions. And thank you, everyone, for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jumbo Blockchain. To know more, stay tuned with jumbochain.org.